Today we're gonna go check out my friend Lewis Johnson, or Sweet Lou, on his Instagram. I'll link it down below. His really awesome or epic home studio setup. I think you guys are gonna really like it. I'll put links to Lou down below. He's an amazing producer, great musician, and he has a couple different artist projects. One of them that I absolutely love is called Lonas, L-O-N-A-S. Fantastic music. Again, great producer, engineer. You're gonna love his setup. It's super fun. So go check him out before we go and give him a follow. Listen to his music. It's all really great stuff. This video is actually sponsored by, I'm just gonna sponsor myself. It's sponsored by me. Something we've been doing this month is a ton of sessions. We've been doing a lot of remote recording on drums. As you can see here in my studio, I do a lot of drums. We've got some cool new cymbals and some new gear, so it's been really exciting trying out drums on a lot of different genres. So you can actually book some recording sessions. I also do consultations. We've actually had a surprising amount of consultations booked. It's kind of a limited window, but if you're building a studio or something, you have some questions, you can book all that stuff on my website, andrewmastersmusic.com. Super easy, and again, just to shill for everything I have. There's drum samples as well, the studio kit. You can pick those up, everything linked at my website, andrewmastersmusic.com. Go check that out. And the last little plug here, if you're not over on my new channel, Studio Time, if you haven't noticed, this channel right now is all studio tours. All of the gear videos and all of the production stuff is going up on the new channel called Studio Time. You can subscribe to that down below as well. We've got some very cool new gear that we're checking out over there. But that's it. Thank you for watching this video. Hit the subscribe button, like button, and let's go check out Lou's epic home studio. Let's go check out Lou's studio.
Welcome to Pop Studio. I'm Lewis, and I will show you around.
All right.
Come on.
Thank you for finally doing one of these with me. I have known about you and your work from our friend for a while.
It's good to have you in, man. This is it. This is everything. You're seeing it all in one view and my little domain. So welcome in.
So what is this building, first off? Like, is there a name to this kind of structure?
What did they call the
accessory building?
Accessory like dwelling unit? Yeah, so I just built this place in my backyard about 2 years ago. There was nothing here. As you can see, like, this is my backyard. My house is right over there. It's a pretty easy commute every day. That's one of my main goals as far as like having a studio. I don't really love the idea of commuting in.
Yep.
So having it in my backyard has been pretty sweet. But yeah, it's just a small little room, got a little bathroom, a loft. You can, that's where squatters come and stay. And if you're watching this and you're hearing it, you know who you are. Squatting in my house, but it's been really great to have that. If you're making a record here, you can stay upstairs in the little loft and have your own little space while you're staying.
So the first things that jump out to me, one, everything is kind of in the same room. You still have little spaces.
Yeah, it's a production space for sure, like hanging with people creatively,
Yeah, but you've got a bathroom, a closet, I'm gonna guess that's a closet, and storage up in the loft.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It is. It can get messy still pretty quick, and if I'm not careful, I'll just pack that loft full of crap. Cases and whatever I'm not using at the time. That closet is a closet right now. Eventually I'm gonna kind of deaden it a bit more, make it like an amp room, vocal booth if we need a super dead vocal sound. I've yet to like need that when I'm tracking vocals. I have these little rolling baffles, and those I'll kind of roll out if we're doing like a more intimate vocal. I want it to be a bit more dead. I'll just kind of like box in the singer. The closet right now, I made sure when I was building it, I insulated it really well, put the rubber in between the drywall.
Yep.
So it's pretty dead in here. As you can see, more deads, more crap in here. But I think it would work pretty well if once I pad the walls up.
Yep.
It's one little cool trick on a couple songs. I've put mics in the closet and it captures this like insane low end frequency. It's just like this subby 20 hertz to like 60 hertz. And it's adding it under a kick. It's like pretty nuts.
Yeah.
You don't need it on everything, but
yeah.
And if you ever are needing that super low thing, it's kind of cool to have.
Yeah, I mean, with the loft in that closet, you can get, if you're a obsessive mic placement drums person, you can get real wild.
We've done the Coles up top, kind of facing down into the room. I actually haven't done that on drums, just because I don't have that many mics, so I usually need the Coles for overheads or like little close rooms, but I think that would be pretty cool. Actually, we did that on the session that you engineered for Lippy. What's that studio called?
Bunker 5.
Bunker 5.
Yep.
We had those Coles up top, and I was like, I wonder how that would sound in here.
It's nice to, he's got 4 Coles. You know what I mean? Like that place is just excessive.
That's 2 more than you need, let's be honest. No, the Coles are great. I feel like it's a great modern ribbon that's not going to give you too much trouble. That's my only ribbons actually that I have are the Coles.
Oh wow, that's great.
I'm not like, dude, my mic locker is small right now. I have like a few like expensive mics that I use a lot, and then I have my like, these are all my dynamic mics that are just like workhorse mics.
Yep.
Grab them, for whatever I need, nothing fancy. Got a bunch of 58s. I've got that Unidyne, like 57. It sounds great. I use it on snare a lot.
Cables, mics, ready.
When I was building the studio, I was like, I've got to have a place for everything. Otherwise, it's just going to be chaos all the time. So I have 2 areas for like cable management. Having all my cables on the wall so I can just grab them. It still is a little bit of a mess, but at least I know where everything is. It's accessible anytime. One of the main goals with this space was, like I said, to have it be a creative production space. I really wanted to make sure that anything that you could reach for was playable within a minute. I don't want anything to take, like when you're walking into like Blackbird or like a nice studio in Nashville.
Yeah.
You really have to like talk to the engineer. All right, we want this all set up before we get there because it's gonna take
forever.
An hour to mic up a drum kit. Right now I'm not mic'd up, but I am 10 minutes from being completely mic'd up, ready to go on this drum kit. I want that, I want everything to be set up at a minute away from being playable and capturing whatever is exciting in that moment, because as we all know in the creative industries, that excitement and creativity is fleeting. It comes and it goes just as fast as it comes. So if you can't capture whatever you're feeling in that moment, I think you've missed the mark. As a production space, that's kind of my main mantra.
Love that.
And I think a lot of studios nowadays, home studios especially, are kind of in that world. Like, let's make all the synths on and patched. So all you have to do is turn a knob and you're in whatever synth you want. And luckily, I don't have too many synths to worry about, you know what I mean? I don't have too much stuff. I basically just have to make sure that I can access like the Mellotron and this little Korg. And this is also my like MIDI, my MIDI keyboard right now, which is kind of small.
Hilarious.
It's kind of small. I don't like having a MIDI keyboard be like my main control station. I don't want a MIDI keyboard right in front of me all the time. It just doesn't inspire me. If I had a MIDI keyboard there, I wouldn't reach for the piano as much.
Yeah.
And I love the sound of this piano. And so that's way more exciting to me.
Tell me about this piano.
Actually, this piano is a Baldwin starter piano my aunt gave me when she was moving from West Virginia across the country. I think it was my grandma's at one point. Been in my family for like a little while, and it's not like passed down for generations or anything, but it's a great little upright. It does the thing you want it to do. It's in tune right now, which is very nice. You can like gaff up the strings and make all sorts of interesting sounds in it, and I've had a lot of fun. I hadn't had a real piano ever, even like growing up or anything. So just to have it around is like super inspiring to just sit down behind it and play.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about like each zone here. So how you're using stuff.
Zones.
We've got a drinking drinks zone over here,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. That's the loudest zone. I kind of have all my acoustics here. This guy is kind of like my favorite guitar, and sad story, it was just completely crushed by Southwest Airlines.
Oh no.
This was earlier this year, and I had it in the shop for like 3 or 4 months getting fixed, and it's not, I don't think it'll ever be quite the same. I got it at a little guitar shop in my hometown of West Palm Beach, Florida.
What is it?
It's a Gibson J50 from the 60s, and I've had it for 6 years or so, 7 years, and I just love it. I've toured with it a bunch. I think I'm gonna stop touring with it now that it got destroyed. Yeah, it's a great guitar, love it. This one is like a 40s student model, just destroyed. I bought it all cracked, and I love old things, old guitars, old wood. This one's like super buzzy, and it's real weird sounding. It's a lot of tune right now. But when you need a character in a song, if you need something to kind of buzz a bit, it's perfect for that. This was my first acoustic guitar. I have it strung up like a just Nashville tuning, high strung. So it has that kind of Nashville tuning thing. And a little nylon. You always have to have a nylon. This one's in open tuning, as you found out earlier, which
Beautiful.
is nice. Sounds great. I think it's in D.
It's low,
C.
yeah.
Something like that. My drink area, I usually try to keep this stocked. It's pretty low right now. Not a lot of LaCroix.
Do you have go-tos like for yourself, and then you have stuff for other people? What's the drink move?
Man, I usually fill it with IPAs, which is a real turnoff for like a lot of people. People will be like, "Oh man, I just want like a Modelo or a Miller Lite," and I'm like, "Well, I don't have any of that in there." I do have Budweiser Zero. If anybody is a non-alcoholic drinker, I just like to have a non-alcoholic option, like some athletic brews. Something for everybody. Always keep LaCroix in there.
Okay, there you go.
That's for everyone. That's like, I drink a ton of LaCroix or Spindrifts or whatever, whatever tasty little bubbly.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about what kind of stuff you're doing in here. Like who are some of the people you're working with, and how does this place like serve those needs?
For one, we have this band, Bird Talker. This is the house kit here at Pops. Basically, it's where my buddy Chris stores some of his drums. It's been really awesome having like great drums.
Yep.
I've been working with this band for the last few months, and every project is different. I feel like with Bird Talker, they come in, their whole band is super talented. They have a great guitar player, great drummer. Zach and Danny, the two main songwriters, are like brilliant. So it's been really easy to kind of just like, we come in here, we explore what the song is that they're working on, or we write a song, and then we just kind of start going. And there's just, like I said, try to get things quick.
Yep.
Try to make sure that any inspiration is captured. And that's pretty much it. And, drum wise, usually we'll do drum days. Obviously, without having separation, if you're tracking drums, you're not really tracking anything else.
Yeah.
We sometimes do bass and drums together. Like we'll go DI with bass, track drums and bass, but it's rare because most of the time we're tracking drums to a song that has elements already there. Every project is a little bit different. Sometimes I'm driving the creativity more. Like if it's maybe a developing artist or somebody who doesn't play many instruments, I'll usually just kind of like sit in the chair and start working on a beat or like some kind of like foundational elements. With Lippy, he and I kind of just did everything sitting around. He would play the keyboard, play the piano, play the mellotron, and we would just kind of like capture that kind of stuff and like really build out intricate tracks, more kind of pop tracks.
Yep.
And then we would, overdub any other instrumentation, any other players that needed to come in. The room is small and you see everything.
It's really not that small. This is awesome. What, 450 square feet or something like
Yeah,
that?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like with all of this closets and everything, it's like, yeah, right around 480, something like that. It's exactly what I wanted. After you spend the money and the time to build a space, I think you notice the things you do differently next time. I was really against isolation. I was like, I don't need it. I want it to be open.
Yeah.
I want to be able to see the drummer when they're playing, communicate really easily without talkback. I wish I had some sort of isolation between me and drums so I could hear what I'm tracking.
Yeah.
It's pretty annoying to track a drum kit in headphones and have so much bleed, even if I'm in in-ears or something.
Yeah.
There's so much bleed going in the room. It's impossible to know what that drum kit actually sounds like, how it's being recorded. So I always have to, okay, cool, thanks for playing that. Now let's mute everything, let's turn on the house, and let's hear what that actually sounds like. And then making tweaks, you're kind of like, okay, well, I think this will do it, let's track it again. It's like an extra step that I find myself being a little annoyed about. And that's it, just a little annoyed.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. It's awesome. I love this space. But if I were to complain about anything, it's like, I'm starting to understand why studios are built the way they're built. I'm also in the direct flight path of BNA, the airport here.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, let's do this vocal take. Wait, I found that in this area, evening is when the flights start ramping up. I don't know if it's like the FedEx and like all of those planes start taking off, but it is just like one every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So it gets to be, all right, dinner time. Let's just like go out and get some food and come back and try to wrap this up later.
Edit some drums or something.
Yeah. I feel like I'm complaining about the space, but in reality, these are the things that I've realized. Unless you spend double the money and build a room inside a room, you're always going to have those kind of issues, and it's fine. You deal with it. If it's not planes, it's a train. Like there's so many studios in town with a train right next to the studio.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's so many. It's wild.
Okay, now tell me about this desk setup situation.
So I built this little desk. Before this, I had like a big table and I had a bunch of stuff, and my workstation was like right in front of me. Where I'm sitting is most of the time not where I want to be pulled back to. I want to be standing up. I want to be around the studio. I wanted this to be the smallest footprint it could possibly be. With that in mind, just put this little configuration together, and I really like it. It's like there are certain things that aren't like exactly the way I would probably want them to be. Like I would love for this little pull out to be right in the middle.
Oh, right.
But I've kind of configured it so my listening position is still pretty much center. I had that in mind. I just thought like, this is where I want to be able to touch all my outboard gear really easily.
Yep.
So it's all right here. And I just wanted it to be really small footprint so I could have more space for fun toys,
Yep, desks eat up a lot of space.
Yeah, they do. They really, in a space like this where my piano is right there.
Yep.
What do I want? I don't want to be crammed in when I'm sitting at the piano. And then it's been working really well. I have no real complaints about it. I mounted my speakers again with that same idea in mind. Like, let's take up as little amount of space with this part of it. I will say it's not perfect as far as like a mixing position. I want to reiterate, this room is completely like a production room. This is let's like explore sounds. This is not like a space for mixing. And then everyone asks me to mix. Like I'm working on a record and it's like, oh yeah, this mix sounds good. Like I think it's pretty much done. Why don't you just put the extra 10% in and I think we're good. And I'm like, but I don't want to mix. But I enjoy mixing, and I do a lot of, I find it really fascinating to like learn different mixing techniques. Like I was telling you when you first got here, I like to start all my sessions from scratch, no templates. And like that's not really the way mixers work. You know, you need consistency to be able to make, you know, quick changes and mixes, and I don't work like that. I'm like, let's start this vocal chain fresh every time I do a vocal. I don't have like a vocal preset that I use. I just am like, you know, it'd be sweet on this if we like, you know, put this weird tape effect on, or if we actually run it through something like that. And I have no interest in having it sound the same every time I do a vocal. Maybe that makes me less consistent, but it definitely makes me a worse mixer. And here I am with like my speakers not at like the perfect level. It doesn't matter. It sounds good in here. These little mounting brackets, like they're just little diffusers.
Yep.
I don't think they do anything for the sound, but they look kind of nice. I like the dimension they bring to the speaker, and
they make the speakers pop too.
Yeah, they also, the real reason is I wanted the speakers off the wall even more.
Yeah.
And those brackets that Genelec sells, they kind of push it all the way back. And so I just wanted a fun way to bring the speakers even just, you know, 6 inches closer.
Can we talk a little bit about this outboard gear situation?
Yeah, let's do it. My main interface is the Apollo X8P, which I got before I got some of the outboard gear, and I was using way more of the Unison Pres, which I still use a lot, especially for like going direct with guitars. If there's a specific sound I'm looking for where I don't have a piece of outboard gear that'll mimic it. But now I'm kind of using a lot of these, as you can see, like they're bypassed in console, and I'm just running through channels 1 through 6 are a stereo pair of each of these little colors. I have the SSL 6s, I have the Cappy like API clones, and then I have these
Rupert Neves.
Yeah, the Rupert Neves.
Are those the 511s?
Yeah, which are sweet. I like these a lot. This little silk knob, it's super subtle. When I first got it, I was like, I can't hear what that's doing, but I kind of just keep them up all the way all the time.
Yeah.
Like they sort of just add like an extra like clarity and like top end and like saturation. That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
And then it was my vocal channel, this BAE 1073 with the EQ, and then this like LA2A clone for my GS. That's kind of routed together all the time. Then I got this Chandler microphone, the Chandler Red, that has a built-in pre. So I no longer need to use the BAE for my vocal chain unless I use a different mic. But
I could take that off with your hands.
oh yeah,
If it's in the way.
You're the last person that needs another free piece of gear.
I get gas like everyone else, like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, well, all I know is I love that. I love that pre. I use it all the time. I use it to go direct with guitars sometimes. I love that it has line in, instrument in the front, the DI. That's great. It's another great way to do kind of the same thing as the console grit, you know,
Sure.
that we always are looking for.
Yep. So for your I/O, you've got the 8 from the X8P, and then is that an ADAT expansion?
Yes. Yeah, so this Behringer, it's like the only thing I could find at a good price point that has optical in and out. So it's completely optical. It doesn't even have like any other way of going in and out of this machine. So yeah, this is my expansion. I get 8 more channels, ADAT in, and then I get another 8 out, which I'm coming out of this little guy in front.
Does that have an ADAT in on it?
No, so this is just a purely analog like pass through.
Yeah.
Is basically all it is. So it's just taking all the outs from the back of this ADAT console, because there's XLR outs.
Oh, cool.
On the back.
Nice.
Yeah, this thing's pretty good for being an
Flexible.
extension.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just have these routed out from the back of that Behringer, and it works really well. I do notice there is a difference in quality going in to the Behringer than if I were to go into these high Z inputs. I think the conversion, just like how it's working, is just like a little less.
Yeah.
Honestly, most of the time when I'm going in to here, it's like I'm doing some pretty heavy affecting
Sure.
to when I'm going out into like these pedals, back into the Behringer, I'm not really noticing a big loss in quality. It's just sort of like, let's color this track a little differently. Most of the time it's like in parallel too, so it gets the job done. And down here I have this little master room like spring reverb. It's kind of more of like it almost feels like a plate, but I have that routed, so it's just basically like I can send as a hardware insert. I come right back in and
when you're sending stuff in and out, are you doing it through console?
No, I'm actually doing it
in
Logic or Pro Tools. I'm actually thinking about making the switch. You're in Pro Tools, right?
Yeah, it depends on the month.
Yeah. I'm thinking about making a switch over to Pro Tools just to like see what all the fuss is about. I think I like the width of Pro Tools a little bit better. I've noticed a bit of like panning in Logic, like the algorithm or however they are like do the panning. It feels thinner.
I like this take. This will be spicy and
well, here's the thing. I'm definitely not a super technical person. I hear things and it might just be the way I mix and the way I work.
Hey, I think if you're not technical and you notice it, that makes it more valid.
Maybe, or I'm just noticed my own mixes lacking a certain thing, and I'm blaming it on the DAW. when like the engineers at Logic are like, no, the panning is exactly the same. Like you're an idiot. I don't care. I just want to see. I just want to like do some mixes in Pro Tools and see what the difference is. I love Logic. I've been on Logic for 20 years. You know, like I've been doing it since my mom first got a Mac. You know, in like 2001. So
wow.
I love Logic. I can get around really fast in Logic. I guess
better for production.
Maybe too fast. Maybe I can get around too fast.
Oh yeah.
That's my problem. Yeah, it's great for production. It's also great if you're doing any MIDI. Yeah. And I was pretty much exclusively doing MIDI, you know, VST stuff, virtual instruments, and now I'm doing very little, which is really fun to be kind of out of that world, because I find it really hard to have a performance work in MIDI without quantizing. And when I'm playing a real piano or a Mellotron or a synth, I never feel like I need to quantize it. Might all be in my brain, but if it's MIDI, it tends to like, when I play a piano in MIDI, I always feel like it's off. Even if it's a great keys player playing it. I'm always kind of like, oh, this just doesn't.
Let me fix this.
Yeah, let me fix this. And maybe it's because you can fix it, I don't know. But
sure.
I find myself so much more inspired by real instruments, and I don't care why.
Yeah.
It just is like, I love it. It sounds great. I find myself needing less takes. Now that I am a little less MIDI oriented, I'm like, maybe Pro Tools, maybe it's time.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Because MIDI is definitely not as simple and.
Yeah, and that was always one of the things.
It's not super complicated, but Logic, it's just like, it's so intuitive.
If you're like working on a laptop, you should just work in Logic or Ableton.
And then we got this new little table up top that you're exploring. Right?
Yeah, I'm still exploring this. I'm not sure exactly where I want to put it. I'm not sure if this is where it wants to live.
What's the first piece called?
So this guy, I'm going right into this Mr. Black Tape X2 pedal. I just got this over at Eastside Music Supply
shout out.
in East Nashville. It's one of my favorite places to try out new pedals. Probably could have gotten it cheaper somewhere else, but I freaking love those guys. If I'm gonna play in their shop for an hour and try out all the effects that I'm looking for, like all the tape echoes, I'm gonna pay them for it, you know? So this is a Tape X2, an amazing, super powerful, lovely tape echo. And I played pretty much all of the tape echoes in the shop. I thought I was gonna leave with like, you know, an Echoplex or like some, you know, some kind of older Memory Man, you know, something like that. And I just loved how this sounded. It has two modes. It has like a more clean sounding, that's the green light. And then the red light is like a lo-fi, kind of warbly, low-passed.
And that's made by
echo.
Mr. Black.
Yeah, Mr. Black, handmade in Portland. They want you to know it.
All right.
Says it right here. And this is like my little stereo board. So this is for sending anything out of Logic. I can go through and print really beautiful sounding, performed delays, and through the Chroma console, which is the other one, the new hologram pedal. If I'm looking for something more out of a sound, I kind of send it through this and play around until I have something. And then I try to perform an entire pass. If it's like on a vocal, I'll try to perform an entire echo pass through the whole song and see what kind of magical moments will happen. And then I'll mute it and in different spots and turn it up in different spots to make it really musical. You can absolutely do that with in-the-box plugins.
Sure.
And automation. I just find it's super fun to sit around and twist knobs. And
that's like real producer stuff right there.
I mean, you know, I think you can kind of make an argument for either one. I think you can probably get a little more in depth into what you want to do in the box.
Yeah, but there's limitations imposed when you go out of the box.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes,
and I do love those, like giving myself some limitations. I'll send a vocal to it. So, okay.
Oh, Jesus talks to dogs and rocks that look like dogs.
All right, let's send it
so
there.
That's in.
Oh, Jesus talks to dogs and rocks that look like dogs. Oh, Jesus talks to dogs and rocks that
So a lot of times,
like dogs.
I'll just use it as a slap, and you can see.
Jesus talks to dogs and rocks that look like dogs. Oh, Jesus talks to dogs and rocks that look like dogs.
Pretty classic delay.
cool.
I love how I'm just playing this one line. That's the title of this song. Jesus talks to dogs and rocks that look like dogs. I think we're just calling it Dogs and Rocks, but that was against my better judgment. I thought it should be called Jesus talks to dogs and rocks that look like dogs. But hey, who am I? I'm just a guy.
When does this come out? Is this already out?
This comes out February 21st. This is a band called Bird Talker, and we wrote this song together. We were on a walk, and we saw some dogs next to some rocks, and we realized we had to write the song. It's a pretty psychedelic trip, a little look inside the mind of a person looking through their neighbor's window who's watching like a TV preacher, like a T-evangelical.
Oh, yeah, a T-evangelical.
Yeah. Watching but not hearing and imagining what that preacher is saying as you peer into the life of your evangelical neighbor.
Oh, Jesus
Anyway.
talks to dogs and
That sounds so
rocks
cool.
that look like dogs.
I love the
And
kind of
he
messed up channel.
teleports back and forth between his odd jobs. You think I'm wasting time up in my mind? I call it rock and roll.
Wow, sounds.
But when I look
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
inside for
I love this
neon
function too.
lights, I see a big black hole.
It'll keep going so you can finish out a little run without it just cutting, which I like. I know a lot of pedals don't do that. Some do, but I thought it was a nice little.
All right, fine, I'll buy one.
It's pretty sweet. I am in no way affiliated with Mr. Black.
Now,
They just made a sick pedal, and so I want to show you. And the Chroma console's sick. I'm still kind of getting to know it.
it's a lot.
It's a lot, but it's really cool. I mean, it's super powerful.
Oh, Jesus talks to dogs and rocks that look like dogs.
So I'm auto-calibrating it
teleports
so it has the
back and
correct input
forth
and output.
between his odd jobs. You think I'm wasting time up in my mind? I call it rock and roll.
Let's get some pitch.
But when I look inside for neon lights, I see a big black hole. Oh, Jesus talks to dogs and
Maybe a
rocks
doubler.
that look like dogs.
That's cool.
And he teleports back and forth between his odd jobs.
Put a little space on it.
You think I'm wasting time up in my mind? I call it rock and roll.
All sounds so good.
But when I look inside
Cool.
for
Cassette tape.
neon lights, I see a big black hole.
I mean, it goes from
Jesus talks to dogs and rocks that look like dogs.
and then if I add this ahead of it,
And he teleports back and forth between his odd jobs. You think I'm wasting time up in my mind? I call it rock and roll. But when I look inside for neon lights,
you know, useful.
Jesus talks to dogs and rocks that look like
Anyway.
dogs.
That is.
And you can just go for hours with that, you
Yeah.
know, and that's just on the vocal. Take that and put it on a couple other tracks. It can really make a difference, you know.
That can be a whole thing. A whole
Yeah,
sound.
yeah, it could be a whole sound. It could be an entire song. You can also go way overboard with it and do way too much, and the whole song is just delay
Yeah.
and fuzz. But
Fine.
that's fine by me, you know.
It's really great, man.
This little guy is pretty cool. I know you were interested in this because you may have been in other studios where they were like, "This is my secret weapon."
Yes. Shout out to, I won't name any names, but
Yeah,
What's this? He
I'm
doesn't
sure
want
he's gonna
anyone to know.
watch this and think, "Man, that studio is so cool." Anyway, I'm a huge Blake Mills fan. Love him. Love like that whole crew. And I did not find this from them. I just was looking at different cassette things. I was going on a tour where I was playing all of my tracks for my show. I played out of a cassette. I was having this problem with the cassette motors on like crappier cassette recorders. The motors will start to die even when you use power. I was playing a show in LA and I played my tape and I was like, am I out of tune? My tracks were slowly dying.
Uh-oh.
It is my fault. I was recording tapes to sell at the shows on the same cassette recorder
Oh, yeah.
while I was in like the van and stuff, getting from show to show. And so I just killed the motors on like everyone. You'll see around the room, I have just a million tape machines. I've got there's one from Amazon that I ordered to try to like fix the problem, and that thing was just a piece of crap. And then I have like that old guy, that was actually pretty cool. These are also 2 more cassette recorders that actually did a really good job. Yeah, I went through a tape thing. But anyway, I bought this because my buddy Robert Marvin, who I think you've been to his place, he had one of these. And it's really cool. It has these onboard effects that are super crazy sounding. They really like, or you can go subtle, but why? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
There's so many other ways to go subtle. This is not going through the hey, 1, 2, hey.
Yeah.
This isn't going through my computer right now, but hey, 1, 2. You can really get pretty weird. I bought these old mics, these old Sony mics, just because they're 1/8 inch, and I was like, oh, that was fun. I can like just plug them into things and make weird noises. So this is like one of those times where you can really start getting weird and do lots of fun stuff. There's like a rotary, let's see, 1, 2, hey, 1, 2. Yeah, we're getting cool stuff. The speakers in this are also very awesome. This preset's called Nu Metal,
Yeah, dude.
which everyone loves nu metal. Everyone's always talking about how much they love nu metal.
That sounds like all my favorite new metal records.
This sounds way cooler. To me, that sounds way cooler than nu metal. Anyway, you can really get some weird stuff with that. That's not the only thing I use this for. I'll pump a whole track through that. Like I'll put it through the actual cassette. Like I did this track with Bird Talker for their record. This is a track. It's like a transitional track on the new Bird Talker album. Tweet about it and stuff.
So the whole 2-track mix.
The whole 2-track went through
hitting this.
that. Yeah.
And is there any additional effects
Yeah,
over it?
there's like a vinyl effect on it
Oh,
too.
cool, yeah.
And like an ocean that's like swelling up and you hear that.
That's cool. Is that pre-tape?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So nice.
I mean, it's just such a vibe.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. You know, it's not a perfect mix by any means. You know, but it's
No, I think it's beautiful.
It's just sort of like it's supposed to be a vibe. You know.
I love it.
So anytime that something's supposed to just be a vibe, I feel like tape only facilitates that. Yeah, that thing's cool. Another tape element I actually bought this. This is, I'm sure you've seen these before.
Nope.
But this is a little contraption made by a Nashville guy, Jared Foldy, and they're called Foldy Makes. But he makes these little sidecars. They're pretty awesome. It's basically a voltage controlled cassette tape. So you can kind of like control pitch.
Oh.
So this was a thing I did for Lippy. Yeah. Yeah, so you can
so
like
cool.
control the voltage of it and slow it down and speed it up. It's really cool. That's just us talking. You could like pitch a pad and like do swells and little ambient effects and stuff, and you could make a full song just using this. So I like to just keep these toys around just for inspiration. If you know, basically we use that little moment at just the end of a song for Lippy. We just wanted it to be like a jarring, like almost like hip hop record stop for a transition to the next thing. So we just kind of used
That's
that.
so
we
cool.
used that guy to just, we could have done that in so many different ways.
No, way cooler.
But we just decided we wanted that little slow down moment to be kind of actually manipulated by hand.
Is it the last song on the record?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how he's gonna track list that yet. There's 7 songs on it, but yeah, I'm excited about the way that one turned out and how it sounds. That's one of the only ones I wrote with him on that record.
Oh, cool.
It's fun to have one on there. All right, what else?
I want to make sure that we can, people watching this can find all these different projects that you're working on. So what are some of these projects that you do? And I'll put links to them
Oh, sick.
in the description so people can just click right through.
I get famous.
Well, I mean,
So I'll give you my my spiel. I'm really good at social media and stuff, so I already have so many fans. So I don't have a Instagram or anything for the studio. One, because I'm not sure that it's like legal to have a business running out of this space.
Sure.
So I just am like,
it's just an office.
it's just me. It's just my home office. But it is called Pops, Pop Studio, and you can find posts and stuff about it at my Instagram, which is Lonus Music, and that's my project. My project is called Lonus. It's my solo project. I was in a band for a long time called the St. Johns. We're still making some music. So yeah, so the St. Johns and Lonus are my projects. I'm producing a band called Bird Talker, and I'm actually going to be touring with them, playing some bass. It's my first foray into that world.
Sick.
So that'll be fun. We're going out in March. And then producing a project for Lippy, Matt Lipkins, amazing piano player, was in the band The Shadowboxers, is in the band The Shadowboxers. I'm producing a project for a friend, Desmond Myers, who's an amazing Atlanta-based singer-songwriter. Yeah.
Nice.
You know, I feel like there's more stuff that I'm missing, but those are the things like off the top of my head that I'm doing right now.
Thank you so much for doing this and for taking the time to hang. I've really enjoyed this. It's been fun.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you out, and yeah, I'm excited to maybe make some music together.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
100%. All right, links in the description. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.